What are those practices that you do to kind of self-evaluate? What do I need to keep doing that I think is good?
Yeah.
What do I need to start doing that I'm not doing now? And sometimes more importantly, what do I need to stop doing?
Yeah. So a friend of mine, Dr. J.P. Conway, he's awesome. He gave me a framework that's one I'm using this year, but I love for resolutions and a way just to look back at what happened last year and a way to look forward this year. And ultimately it was here's a couple different headings. One, it was identity, body, mind, money, relationships, time, and talents. And I want to ask myself, like, who was I last year? Was I a real busy guy? Was I short? Was I exhausted? Was I fill in the blank? And then who do I want to be this year? And what did I do to take care of my body last year? Did I go see a doctor finally? I did. Finally, George. I saw a doctor the first time in like a decade. It was awesome. And it was amazing. It was incredible.
Like a normal medical doctor.
This person's got a normal medical doctor degree.
Okay.
They're out there. They're incredible, though, man. Did a bunch of genetic tests. I got a lot of insight about my body, and he gave me some tools. And he had a hard conversation with me. He said, I can tell by your blood you're running too hard.
Wow.
And he's like, you've gotten used to living a stressful life, and you got to stop because you're going to pay the price. Your kids are going to pay the price. And he had a hard conversation, but he was just looking at the data, right? So it was awesome. I still haven't gone to the dentist yet. I got to suck it up and go.
Oh, boy.
But I know. But you look at your body and your mind. Did I go to counseling this year? What did I read this year? Did I exercise regularly? Man, I kind of went on a gummy candy binge at the end of this year, dude. Like, I was traveling a lot. I started getting tired. I was in airports all the time, and I had that one bag, dude. I never went back. So, like, you can look at your body and mind. What's the state of my relationships? I realized a few weeks ago, like, man, one of my main challenges here, I got lonely. Like, I just quit talking to my friends all the time, and I'm here preaching about loneliness on my show. I quit hanging out with people. You know, I just got tired. And so, like, taking honest inventory of relationships, money, time. Where do I waste time? Where do I use time? And you look backwards and you look forward, man.
One of the reasons I think leaders especially don't reflect on the year is because it can be hard to look in that mirror and see all the things you didn't do that you said you were going to do, the things that you wanted to accomplish and just didn't make it. How do you deal with the tension there of feeling like you failed?
We take tasks and we make them our identity, man. That's the problem. I didn't budget well last year. I'm just saying, let's say that out loud. I didn't budget well last year. That becomes a story we tell ourselves that we're a failure. Like, no, I sucked at budgeting last year. I'm going to solve that this year. You know what I mean? If you get out of this identity thing, then it's just a matter of, I tried to dunk, I couldn't dunk, then I got some things I got to do to dunk, right? We over-internalize it, over-dramatize it, and we make these big identity statements. Now, if you lie to your spouse over and over and over about your financial situation or how work's going or where you were after work or whatever, over time you got to look in the mirror and say, I continue to lie, and I don't want to be that person anymore. I'm going to change this identity. I'm going to be a person who never doesn't tell the truth, right? So over time, a repeated behavior becomes your identity, right? You are what you repeatedly do. But I think when it comes to those failures, we look back and say, if my business failed, then I am a failure. That's the story we tell ourselves. Or if I didn't make this six-figure goal, I failed. And we got to divorce ourselves from that identity.
When it comes to taking stock and taking inventory, you don't just do this personally. You actually bring your wife into this process.
Whole family.
What does that look like?
So this year I started early. I did it last year. I started 2 months early. This year I went early. So I started my New Year's stuff on December 1. And my thinking was, if I start treating my body right, my mind right, I start thinking about my money for 2023, like 2022, what that's going to look like a month early, then I can get through Christmas and not fall off the rails. I can get through New Year's and not fall off the rails. And I can wake up, January 1 and be in the gym. You know what I mean? Not be January 1, be like, that sugar hangover. And you're like, what day is it? Like, it's ready to rock and roll. So I started early. I did mine. And then in a couple of days, so we've already got it scheduled. My parents are going to be in town. My wife and I will go, and we call it our strategic planning day. She has another word that's much more familial.
Less nerdy?
It's not like you're not running a corporation here, you idiot. That's kind of her response. But we call it strategic planning day, and we will go. Sometimes we go away, but this year we're going to just make multiple coffee shops, and we'll end up at a really fancy dinner that night. But we spend all day together. And at this particular place, we're going to talk about money, and then we get in the car and we drive somewhere across town, and we go to another place, and we talk about our marriage, how are we doing, talk about our kids, and we are really intentional, and we end with a celebration, and it's a really great time together. In the past, man, we've We cry together. We get excited about it. We look at the math and say how much money we could pay off. Like, we get fired up about stuff. Things are hard. One year we had to cut it short. Like, it got hard. And we're like, we need to stop this for today and then come back. And then we will leave with a series of what I call them covenants. And then me and my wife and my kids will sit down, and this year we're redoing the Deloney family covenants, which is awesome, which is, here's who the Deloneys are. And the one that we have now, she got one of those, what do you call them? Like, you paint on them. What do you call those things?
Like an easel?
Not an easel, but that's the thing that
that it sits on. Like a canvas?
Oh my gosh. Millennials, man. That was awesome.
We're good.
You're good. You get a canvas, and but we painted, like, here's the Deloney family values. We treat each other with dignity and respect. We say yes. We have adventures. We are hospitable. And so when one of us gets out of line, we point back and say, hey, whoa, this is who we are. The same as you would in your business, right? These are our business values. We have the same things in our home, and we just re-up them every year, man. And it's a great time together.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that kind of the mission and core values that we all have as a business, but we don't do that as people.
Why? Why do we not?
We don't have a mission as a person, as a family.
Who am I? Yeah, James Clear talks about that, and man, of all the things I took away from Atomic Habits, that's the number one. This idea that, dude, most people shoot out of the gate with their resolutions, and they're like, I'm going to lose 50 pounds, I'm going to run a marathon, I'm going to read 50 books or whatever. Dude, if you just throw out a bunch of goals, you're just going to end up flexing and trying to white-knuckle your way through the year. And willpower is a dreadful driver for human behavior. It's terrible. It's finite. It runs out. It's just dumb. Change your identity first and then backfill those things. So this year, I'm going to be a guy who takes care of my body. And then when it comes to working out, those are just reverse engineering my identity, right? I'm going to be a great engaged husband. What does that mean? It means I got to put my phone away. Right? And so the goals stem from my identity, who I want to be. And so our repeated behaviors become our identities, but the way out of that is I'm going to change my identity, and then I'm going to change my repeated behaviors. And you'll get to your, I want to save $100,000 or I want to run a marathon. You'll get to that stuff, but it starts with this identity, a place you can point back to, like a tent pole.
Yeah, that's a powerful shift, mindset-wise, to get to. It changes your whole perspective on goals.
So let's reverse this. Like, who do you want to be in 2022?
A guy who reads.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How many books do you read this year?
Maybe 4.
Not including yours?
Not including mine.
Okay.
Not including yours either.
Well, mine doesn't count. Yeah, it's too short.
But I always have a list of like 50 books I'm going to read.
What prohibits you from reading?
Procrastination, laziness.
Okay.
There's a new show on Netflix, John.
Okay.
Everyone's talking about it.
Okay. So if you started with, in 2022, George Kimball's a guy who reads. And then I'm going to look at my calendar. And then I'm going to look at my Netflix account. Like, Ray, you start pulling things away. I'd love to see that. Not just, I'm going to read 5 books. Because you'll cram 5 books in the week before Christmas and be like, I read my 5 books this year. You know what I'm saying?
I did the Spark Notes.
Exactly. Yeah. You start cheating yourself. And hey, here's the thing. When you chase wins, we may have talked about this on this podcast. When you chase wins as a fruit, like, dude, I'm a Houston Astros fan. I know what it's like to chase wins. You'll do whatever it takes, even banging on trash cans and cheating, right? If you say, I'm going to do things right every day, I'm going to commit to a process, wins take care of themselves, man. You know what I mean? They happen. I'm going to be a guy who reads, and every day I'm going to read 1 chapter. Or I'm going to read 1 page. 1 page! I'm a guy who reads. Eventually you're going to read 5 pages because you're going to get into something, and then you're going to read 10, and then you're going to keep reading, and then one day the Netflix, you'll be like, I'll finish this book. And then all of a sudden, dude, I ran 10 books this year, right? Because I'm a guy who reads. It's just a subtle shift, but it's big.